I'm Eva and I'm the solo English horn player and artistic director of Heureka.
Can you tell me something about this project? How did it start? What was the inspiration and everything about that?
It started with me looking for a piece for English horn, and there wasn't really many pieces, especially with contemporary music. Like there's loads of English horn in early music where it's for da caccia. But yeah, there's not too many things. There's a few things for the English horn in the orchestra, but no solo parts in contemporary music, or not too many really. Yeah. So then I asked Erla, the composer, if she would like to write a piece for me to play the English horn and maybe some small chamber music or something. Yes.
How did you meet Ella?
I met her at an other project where I was conducting, and I conducted her piece, and we just clicked, I think. So her music was very clear to me, and I could understand it immediately and work with it, and we really connected. So it was great.
So your connection made you wanna ask her to write this piece for you, because it was instant and it was so natural.
Yes. Yes.
And can you tell me something about the theme of the piece?
Yes, the piece is about astrophysics, and it's about contemporary astrophysics as it's contemporary music. I think the connection is already there. So with contemporary, there's so much music about astrophysics and star music and all of those sciences and numbers and stuff with waves. So there's loads of stuff, and even about the planets and all of that. But there's really nothing, not nothing, but there's too little about contemporary science, like about nowadays science. And so I decided on the themes of black holes, gravity, and the expansion of the universe. So that's the three central roles there. Yes, and Erla wrote about that. And
why those subjects? Why black holes and gravity and?
Because they are modern subjects. Because they are what astrophysics is about now. And I really wanted people that don't know too much about it. Like, for example, let's start from the beginning. I'm friends with musicians, and I meet musicians all the time. And when I talk to them, they don't really know too much about astrophysics, which I read a lot about, and I find it really interesting. And sometimes I'm a bit sad that people don't interact with astrophysics as much as I do, because I find it so interesting right now, because so many things are happening there. And the other thing around, again, when you talk to scientists and people that are really into physics, like you are, they maybe don't know too much about contemporary music. And I think they fit together so well, and it would be a pity to not combine them. So, yes.
I'm really glad you did.
Sorry?
I'm really glad you did.
Oh yes, so am I.
But can you tell me about the title?
Heureka. Initially it was like my idea of the concept was von der Ausdehnung der Dinge, like about the expansion of things, and it should talk about the universe and everything expanding, and so that was the aim. But then Erla came to join Heureka, which wasn't Heureka back then, and she said that she found a text of Edgar Allan Poe titled Heureka, and it's about these things that we are talking about, like black holes and gravity and all of that. I mean, it's Edgar Allan Poe, it's not contemporary in that sense. It's very interesting because he had some super interesting views, and I didn't know that he was that much into science, but maybe that's just how people were and artists were back then. So then again, you know what I mean, like artists back then, they would know so much more about science and everything, like they would be connected much more than we are. But I think as science and every field, even music, they get more and more information and more things that you have to be the best in order to make a living out of that, right? But back then it was different, I think. And you know, even all those mathematicians that initially did all of those formulas and all of that, they were musicians as well. And like everyone would know something about everything. And that changed. And coming back to Edgar Allan Poe, he wrote Heureka. Of course, he wasn't a scientist, no, but he knew about science, and he would write in a beautiful, beautiful way about science. It's just very poetic. It's it's just so inspiring. And that's what Erla felt, because Erla is a poet as well. And so I think, maybe you can ask her, but I think the first and easiest way for her to connect to a theme is to gather texts, gather lyrics, gather something. And so she found Heureka and found a translation to German, because we were just talking. I really wouldn't tell her what to do because she knows so much better than me. But I told her that we'd like to do the premiere and everything in Germany. Back then, I mean, we grew since then, but I wouldn't know that, would I? So it was about connecting with a German audience, and that's why we thought, okay, let's maybe go to German with the lyrics. And she found a translation of Edgar Allan Poe's Heureka, and then used the German lyrics. And then she asked me if it would be okay to go with Heureka as the title. So yes, and I thought it was a brilliant idea. It feels so right now.
I agree. That I couldn't imagine having it any other name. Like
Yes.
Heureka. And okay, so that's why the lyrics are in German, and you wouldn't change that now. Like
No.
you are. Okay, great.
I normally don't like German as a language for music. I think it works with Wagner and those compositions, but I don't find it a very musical language. But it's just right for Heureka.
It works so well.
Yeah.
It works awesome.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that.
It does. Can you tell me about the lyrics?
Oh, I hope I can. I
Please
don't
tell
know.
me.
Yeah, you know, with the lyrics, it's such an exciting thing, because also it's the same with the music, but we've been working for 3 years on Heureka now, and it's been such a process. And you know, when we started, there were all of those versions and scripts and everything, like, because Erla used spirals to get the lyrics and the syllables, and she would deconstruct them and stuff. And some phrases really stuck with me, and now some of them are lost because we didn't need them in the end. But it feels like the right composition. I wouldn't change it. But some of the lyrics are still stuck in my head, and for me it feels like they are still there somewhere. One phrase is: Ich habe allen Grund zu erklären. I have every reason to tell you or to describe to you. And that's what a scientist or Edgar Allan Poe would say, like, I have every reason to tell you it's like this. Because it's not a fairy tale, it's real science. And that's something that's so Heureka to me, although it sounds very ghosty and mystical and all of that. It's really science, and that excites me so much, and I love it so much. Like, we're talking about gravity and atoms atoms and their relationship to other atoms. So it's the binding energy and all of that. And I think for Erla it's more abstract than for me, because I've really connected so much to astrophysics. But she has a much more artistic approach than me, which is brilliant. But she has those things like when I say the binding energy of two atoms and how they, like their characteristics would make a difference on how they interact with their surroundings. She would translate it into thoughts and people and everything. At least that's what I feel with the music, even though it's not in the lyrics. It's like if you go to the last movement, it says in a deconstructed version, it would say something like, if you moved even the slightest particle of an atom, the universe would collapse and the sun would stop being the sun and the moon would lose its way. So poetic by itself. You don't have to tell them like, this is how I think about human beings as well. You should stay the way you are because we need you like you are. Of course, that's the message, we know. But you don't have to tell them, right? So it makes so much sense. And really this is how the universe works. Everything is right wherever it is, and it all interacts. I didn't hear the singers before. I would have the music and play it on the piano and have an idea. But when we did the first little kind of concert trial with the audience, it was very moving and very interesting how those harmonies just collide, and that's really how Erla's music feels to me, if that makes sense. It's different from both, like from traditional music that we know because it's contemporary, but I do a lot of contemporary music, and hers is very interesting because sometimes, and maybe this is nonsense, but I feel like she doesn't care about the harmonics that much. I feel like every voice, every line is so beautiful, and you could do a whole performance with the first soprano only, and you could do a whole performance with the second baritone only, you know, and that's so special because I feel like she just wrote those lines and then she was like, oh, they're so beautiful, let's put them all together. And it's a childlike reaction, you know.
It makes so much sense.
And I just like this light kind of approach to music. I don't know if this is how she does it, but it feels like she just grabs it all and puts it all together, and it doesn't matter if you hear all of the voices or just a few of them or whatever, but they are all so beautiful on their own. And then they start collapsing, and it makes sense for a piece about astrophysics, because it's like all of those waves and gravity, not only gravity, there's tons of waves really in the universe, and they don't care about each other, they just go through, you know. And that's how I feel about the singers, and having them like when I play, just to hear all of this, I think because we are at the sea now, it really feels like a sea of waves, all of the music, and it's not like it doesn't feel like she's aiming to push someone to feel emotional or it's just so natural. It's so raw. And that's the most amazing thing about the music. And even me playing, it's like I play my lines, which again I could play on my own. They're interesting enough. And I did play them for a few years because nobody could meet and rehearse or do a concert. But with the singers with me now, it's so different. Like I feel like there's so much going on all around me. And it's wonderful. It's not distracting. It's just like, sometimes I feel like, okay, please focus on your parts. Stop listening to everyone, because it's like, it's so nice to listen in to everyone. And sometimes there's just few tiny parts where there's only singers. And those are my favorite parts. And sometimes I feel like maybe there should be no English horn, because this is the most beautiful thing. You don't think so? Okay, thank you.
No, I think that English horn is there for a reason, and I love it.
I'm sure there is. Yeah.
It's beautiful. I hope that those will become your favorite parts, where there's only English horn, or at least...
Maybe on another level, because I'm not that kind of person. It's like I need everyone to listen to me. But I do enjoy playing it. Yes, totally. But I think it would take someone else to play it, and I hope I'll hear someone else to play the piece, because that's really the aim. It is a piece for me, and I'm happy that I got it, but it's really a piece for everyone. And I want other oboists or English horn players to get the piece and make it their own piece, and that's also what Erla said.
First time playing with electronic music as well, and how does it feel?
Oh, is it the first time? I don't think so. I don't think it's the first time I play with electronics. I don't do it a lot normally, because I'm really bad with laptops and everything, and it makes me really anxious. Even here, it does. But it's Erla's thing, and she loves to compose with electronics, and it fits. And so I just have to learn it, I guess. yeah. But it's interesting. And also the electronics were made by Erla recording me and the percussion player. So it's all our recordings, and it was really freaky, because we would spend days, I'm not kidding, days on recording just single tones. And just be, okay, can you play a tone for me for like 14-ish seconds? And you play it straight once, and then you play it with a crescendo, decrescendo, and then you play it with vibrato, and then with a little bit of vibrato, and then you play really loud. And that had to be done with every single tone on the English horn, with a tuner, of course, because you need it to be right then for the electronics. It was so much work, and every single part of the process, I really trusted her. I knew it's gonna be amazing, so I did it, but it was exhausting. It was so much. And I think she also didn't know, because she was like, ooh, playing the English horn is really a lot, is it? It's like, yeah.
I've heard that this is one of the maybe rare pieces that is solely written for the English horn. So can you tell me how does that work and how does that feel for you? And because some of the singers told me that that feels amazing.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they did say that.
Ooh, I hope
Yes.
I can hear them talk about the English horn.
Well,
I
I
never
think
asked
about
them.
it. Yeah. No, they said that that's amazing.
Ah, okay.
Piece written
Oh,
for
that's
English
very
horn.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the English horn to me is a very normal instrument. I hear it every day. Yes, but it's normally when I do music for the English horn, of course it's different with those brilliant pieces in the orchestra and operas, and if you play Wagner or Verdi or Puccini, you name them, they are brilliant. But normally if there is contemporary music or some not that well-known composers, I find it easier to find something that works for the oboe if it's not the most brilliant composer. I find they make it work. They write something they would normally do for the violin or whatever, and it's not amazing, but you can make it work. But with the English horn, it's so hard to make something work that's not well written for the instrument. Not in general. Sorry, I don't want to say anything bad about any composer because I respect them all. But it's like so many things don't really make the best out of the instrument, and that's really frustrating to me because then with English horns they would sometimes do parts like, how can I explain it? Like, for example, they would write like they do for the oboe. Like there would be some, okay, there's a nice melody and there's lots of finger stuff and quick stuff, but it's not touching because the English horn is so different. Their whole thing is this melancholy, and you have to catch that, or if you do something else, that's also fine as a composer, but if you need to get maybe the timbre right, like the color, the sound of the instrument, because if you don't understand it and that it's soft and stuff, and if you do those punctual, do you call them punctual? Those staccato parts with an English horn, they don't work as they do with the oboe, because the instrument is so much softer. And it wouldn't give you what you're looking for, because then I have to think about, okay, how do I do it with my instrument? Do I need another reed to make it closer to the oboe? So I do often feel like I gotta adapt to the composer or adapt to another instrument that maybe they thought of when they were writing for the English horn, because they didn't know how the English horn works. Erla also didn't know too much about the English horn, and she never wrote for the English horn. This is the first piece she's writing for English horn. Imagine, I mean, you've heard the piece, have you? And it really feels like it's for the English horn. It must be for the English horn. It cannot be played by any other instrument. You cannot do it. Not even with the oboe. Even if you transpose the whole piece and play the quinta higher, it wouldn't work. Because it's done for the English horn. I was so... I never had something like this happen, like where somebody would write a piece for me. Like I did some premieres, but she really listened to me for 7 months. Can you imagine? Before she wrote a single tone, she would be recording me and asking me something.
me something about the ensemble, about the people, about the first men, about the people that were here at the beginning in the piece, and then the people now, and the journey from the beginning till here.
Yes, it's been a long journey already. Yeah, I mean, Erla started to compose the piece in 2019, and the thing happened. So it got postponed so many times, and it was a real challenge. It was like the worst and the best thing, both. I talked to Erla about it a few years ago, and we were thinking that maybe all of that postponing was in the end a good thing, because it gave us so much time to refine and overthink many things, and maybe it was good, because I think if we had less time, it would have gone so much quicker, and then we just wouldn't care about some decisions. But now you really have to care, because there's enough time to really make decisions. So yes, that's a lot. And also with the singers, with the ensemble, in the end, even like with everyone, there's been so many changes. Like, you would think it's only 7 musicians, and it's easy because then you can talk things out and make it work. But can you believe that out of 7 musicians, so if let's say the soloists stayed the same so far, so they didn't kick me out. We had a change with the percussions, and we had, out of 5 singers, only 1 stayed from the original team. Yes. And there's been lots of changes, of course. I mean, you cannot keep those people waiting for 2 years. It doesn't work like that. It's young people. They have their own careers. They have their own lives going on. It was very tricky then, because for example, we had a soprano, and she was amazing, and I love her even now. But she had a very, very cool upper range and a very low range, but it would be hard for her to sing in the middle parts, or it wouldn't be hard for her, but her voice wasn't in the perfect place there. So Erla then wrote for soprano that had a super low register as well, like an alto. But then guess what? That singer wouldn't stay in the ensemble. So how do you find someone who does the exact same thing? And it didn't work. We had to do so many changes. We did video auditions for the first soprano as well. Luckily we found a very good replacement with Emile, and I'm super happy. So that worked out. And with the other parts, as I said, with that alto soprano thing, we had to split up voices then and change them a lot in the rehearsal. So it took so much time then in the end to think about a solution right there. So if it's not written for them but written for other people, it's hard to make it work and to really make it your own thing, even though it's not for you, kind of. But yeah, but they did really well. I'm so proud of all of the singers and the musicians. I mean, even the percussion player, it wasn't written for him. But I feel like they are really owning it now, and then it's magical. It's magic. Yes.
Can you tell me about, since there are a lot of women in the ensemble, how does that feel? Because it's mostly women and 3 men, yeah.
Is it? Yes, it's yes.
Yeah, I thought it's 2.
But all our men have long hair, most of them, except for one.
Yeah.
All people in leading positions are women. So there's me, there's Erla, there's our managing manager, and there's one who does the finances and fundings and everything. So it's all women. And honestly, it feels very relaxing to me. It feels very good. I wouldn't say that it's hard to work with men. none of those things, no. But there's something about the way we work and about the way, maybe that's the point, about the way I feel. And I just feel like I can be myself, and I don't have to, to power up to be on somebody else's level. I feel like the way I am, as a female leader, I'm okay. And it's not about men. I think many men would give me the same opportunity, but I feel more challenged in order, like in that way, if you know what I mean. Yes. And this way I'm just, it feels so good, really, about everything. Like there's managing things, and we've just been booking tons of flights and everything, and working and calling so many people, and I think that's normally very uncomfortable to me, but I mean it still is, because that's not what I'm good at, but I still feel like I get so much respect from everyone, and it's a good feeling, really. It's a good feeling, and I think that's a thing that's changing in general in music industry, as well as in all other jobs and branches. Do we call them branches? I don't think so. Branch. In all branches.
In all branches.
In all branches. You get butter and milk and all those products, and they're all female. No. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, from female cows and...
yeah, like that. No, but it's really good, and there's many women in the ensemble, and I feel it's right that there's men as well, and it's really cool. And
who is your favorite person?
Who's my favorite person?
That's just the answer from
How
me.
can you are!
Yes, that's what I wanted to keep, that's why I asked.
Did I do it well?
Yes,
did I pass?
You did great.
Oh, thank you.
I will not put it in the interview, I just wanted to hear it. I will play it as an alarm in the morning. That would be my sound.
Oh,
you are.
Oh god. No, if I'm honest, and I know this is going to be very unicorny, but every person I hear in that exact moment when we do the piece is my favorite person. Like whomever I hear.
But you don't hear me. Oh, you do. It's my like
click.
Yeah.
No, but wait for it, because very soon I'm gonna see you when they do the visuals. Okay. And when all of that works. I can't wait, but then you will be my favorite person when I see all of those sparkly lights and stars and all of that. Yeah, so really everyone whom I feel connected with while playing or while listening, really, or while watching, they are my favorite person.